Chris, it is all about number 4. Dak Prescott medically cleared to return to practice and did so today.
It was a walkthrough, but he was there, and he was listed as full participant.
Yes, and tomorrow we'll be able to see the full throwing of Dak Prescott as he gets ready to take on the Detroit Lions on Sunday afternoon. Let's get this conversation started with what will and won't change with this offense when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Todd Acha of ESPN put together a really nice piece, I thought, kind of to encapsulate what are some of our thoughts are around the idea of Dak Prescott. Let's just start with just overall observations, Chris. When you look at what this Cowboys team did without Dak Prescott out since week 1, of course, with the broken right thumb, and Cooper Rush stepping in and helping this football team. He was a fantastic participant in the group project, helped this Dallas Cowboys team now get to 4-2, while, yes, it had the 3 turnovers against Philadelphia on Sunday night. What will and won't change in your mind now that Dak Prescott is back with this offense starting on Sunday afternoon?
I think what you're going to see is first half of the season last year, Dak Prescott. Now, let me tell you what I mean by this. I was looking at the script that Kellen Moore drew up for the Tampa Bay game, and it was a whole lot of clever plays and whatnot. You don't have to do that. And in the second half of the season last year, Dak had to carry the team because Ezekiel Elliott had one leg. Remember, he bad knee, and you really didn't have a run game, and everybody knew it. The other team's defenses knew it. They stopped staying in the box, and they flooded the secondary. They had 7 and 8 guys back, and Dak had problems with all of that. Well, he was still carrying the team. Going into this season, the way they retooled the team, I predicted them to win 8 games because the notion was Dak's going to have to carry this team. They're going to blame him when it doesn't work because he doesn't have the same talent around him. Here's the difference. Now that we've seen that Mike McCarthy has joined with Kellen Moore, because remember after that first game, he said, I'm going to help Kellen out. Kellen used to have free reign, but I'm going to help him out. He didn't say what he did, but notice what they've done. They went back to the first half of last season where it was a balanced offense. You ran the ball, and then you threw the ball. Now, he doesn't have the same weapons that he had last year, but guess what? He can throw the tight end a lot. And I'm not talking about, throwing to Dalton Schultz. I'm talking about those 2 young guys as well. Run the ball.
Shot.
Yes.
Peyton Henderson and Jay Ferguson.
Ferguson, who got that Euro step touchdown, right? You never saw one of those before.
He did do that one, that 1-2
little swim
Euro
move. I was like, look at this. Bye, Dalton Schultz, with your franchise tag money. I'm sorry, you ain't going to get paid here next year.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying.
No, you taking him off the team.
No,
okay.
Somebody's going to overpay him, and he's going to be gone. It's just the way it goes. It's kind of like when we knew all year long that Byron Jones was gone too, didn't we?
We knew what time it was.
It's the same thing. I'm just saying it's the same thing. So just back to Dak, it's not dumbing down the offense. It's not, okay, just run these stupid Cooper Rush plays that Cooper Rush barely could execute. And by the way, no hate on Cooper Rush. He did a fine job as a backup. No hate on the Ginger Avenger. But Dak Prescott can make some throws and extend plays the way Cooper Rush can't. But he doesn't have to carry the team. The defense is carrying the team. But the fact that you've got some plays that Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott can run together, that's called balance. And if you have a legitimate run game, that opens up the offense and you don't have to flood that secondary. The secondary won't be flooded and Dak can pick it apart. He doesn't have to carry it. And that's what you're going to watch. It's not about Dak's going to carry the team and, oh, boy, better work. No, the defense is carrying the team. And it's going to look like it did now, don't get me wrong. It's not going to be 31 points a game last year.
Sure.
But it's going to look more like you saw in September and October where they were rolling. And I'm hoping they prove me wrong because I was like, 8 wins, that's all I could see.
This is an offense, when you start to look at it, they are just converting 30.9% of the time on third down. Obviously, they've only ran 294 plays on the season. So at least with this team, you're hoping with the return of Dak Prescott, you're going to see a little bit more efficiency. Hopefully for this offensive line, the confidence in knowing that if things do break down at times, you've got a guy in Dak Prescott who's very mobile. He can move around and extend plays, not only getting the ball down the field and keeping his eyes down the field, but more importantly, if he needs to run for a first down or 2, you know that he can do that for you and get you another set of downs if the case, if you need to. Cooper Rush wasn't necessarily doing that. I think one of the things that hopefully going forward for this offense that I appreciated about what Kellen Moore and Cooper Rush were able to do is that it appeared that Kellen Moore put Cooper Rush in position to make the plays that he was capable of making, not making him or putting him in positions where he was trying to do things that he wasn't capable of doing. Now with Dak Prescott back in this offense, you will have the full complement of your entire offense with the added element of his ability to extend plays with his legs. So you're hoping for more efficiency. You're hoping for some of the throws that Cooper Rush wasn't able to make, that Dak Prescott is able to do so coming back for this football team. And for Michael Gallup, for CeeDee Lamb, who has been banged up, obviously, throughout the course of this season so far, Michael Gallup coming back off the ACL, the return of Dak Prescott means for them continuing to grow and develop the kind of chemistry that we didn't see in the rhythm that we didn't see in week one. Obviously, Michael Gallup was not there against Tampa Bay, but for CeeDee Lamb, this is going to be huge for him because now he can finally, hopefully, develop the kind of rhythm and chemistry with Dak Prescott. Because you look at the amount of games that Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb have played together, Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb have only played, CeeDee Lamb's only played about half of his games with Dak Prescott throughout his career so far. So now you'll get the chance to hopefully for Dak Prescott to develop that rhythm with CeeDee Lamb. And now going forward, they have a golden opportunity to do it at home against a couple of teams in Detroit this Sunday and then against Chicago, in 2 weeks from now to be able to develop what they need to build that momentum before they go on the road to take on, the Green Bay Packers, before they take on the Minnesota Vikings. We're talking about 4 straight games against the NFC North for them to get right, if you will. And it starts on Sunday against the Detroit Lions there.
Can I say something about these Lions? Now, the Cowboys should handily beat the Detroit Lions. Handily. Because the Detroit Lions, not only are they banged up, they got a lot of guys injured. They are, unfortunately for the Cowboys, well rested because they had the weekend off last week. But they're dangerous only because, what do you like to call them? What's their nickname?
I have a couple of them. I have the fighting, biting kneecaps.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. They take on the personality of the head coach, right? With that being said, if Dak Prescott's out there, their mindset is he's healthy. And I'm not going to say they're going to play dirty, but they will be swiping at the ball. They will be going at him, not like his body. And they're not going to do anything illegal. They're not going to get any, flags thrown unnecessarily. But you just said it. Dan Campbell's mentality is he plays rough. And that's what they're going to do. And since they're expected to lose anyway, they're just going to show everybody that they got something. Now, that means the offensive line is going to have to protect Dak. That means Dak can't be restless. And Dak has to be prepared for what they might bring. Because anything can happen. In other words, this is not a team that's like, let's say the 49ers or another team that feels like they're equal to or better than the Dallas Cowboys, and they're just going to play them straight up. Unfortunately for the Cowboys, a one-win Detroit team is desperate.
Sure.
And so they're going to do everything they can do within legal means to be competitive.
And that means competitive football team.
That means, Dak, what the hell what you doing out here if you're not 100%? You know what I'm saying? So just be aware of that because they're the biting kneecaps, Dan Campbell's.
And look, this is something where I think for whether you're a detractor of Dak Prescott or you're a supporter of him, this is an opportunity for this team to feel like now that they're at their best with their franchise quarterback coming back. No matter how you feel about it, this is their franchise guy.
Yep.
And they feel like he gives them the best chance to win. And this is why they signed him. This is why they paid him. And now he is here to hopefully help this offense have the kind of rhythm and creativity. This is not going to be the same offense that scored, over 30 points a game a season ago. That was number one in the league in total offense, number one in scoring offense. This is a team now that can not only lean on its defense, but more importantly, Dak Prescott can put this team in position to where they don't feel like this defense has to play from behind or have to make up for mistakes that Cooper Rush may make going forward, just like he did in the Philadelphia game. That should not be the case. But that's not to say that Dak Prescott, when he does come back, and that looks like going to be on Sunday, that he's not going to have some rust. There's going to be some timing issues. There's going to be some rhythm issues. So when people start seeing him maybe skip a throw or two, or there's something that's off about what he did in terms of trying to find a receiver downfield, those things are going to happen. The patience has to be exercised here, but more importantly, this is an opportunity now for them to be able to see what they have with the mostly full complement of this offense, especially once James Washington comes back, from his broken foot. You've got now Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott. You've got now the offense that you thought coming into the season would give you a chance to believe that this team would win the division. And now at 4-2, they're in a good spot to now move forward thanks to what this defense and what Cooper Rush and what they were able to do over the last several weeks without Dak Prescott.
Oh, so here's another thing to think about, and I'm glad you brought all those points up about, that he may not be smooth. And that's true, because in my mind, that Tampa Bay game, he was not smooth, and the number one reason why, he played no preseason games. There are a lot of
that, and Tampa's good. Defensively, they're really good.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay defense is really, really good. But again, Kellen Moore had this really complicated offense that, ironically, Tampa Bay defenders were saying after the game, oh, we knew exactly what he was going to do. Remember, they were saying that.
Mm-hmm.
They said when they saw
looked at the tape from last year,
they said that we knew exactly what Kellen Moore was going to do. And like I said, but Dak Prescott's performance, which also sucked, man, there was a reason that Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen said we want to play at least a half in the preseason because they want to get their wherewithals. And Tony Romo was saying on one of the broadcasts, in fact, I can't remember exactly where I heard this, but Tony Romo was saying in one of the broadcasts, he liked to play a preseason game because it reminded him of the little things that he had to be prepared for, especially if it's a road game. He said he liked to know where the clock was, where he could tell where the clock was going down on each end of the end zones. He wanted to be able to hear what the crowd noise was and the signals in his helmet. All the little things you just kind of take for granted. He wanted to be up to speed and not have it all hit him in the very first game of the season. Well, Dak Prescott, like a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, and you brought this up when you pontificated, Kevin Graham, I'm giving you props here. You said one of the bad things about the preseason, since there's only 3 games and most teams aren't showing their hands, you're going to see some raggedy offense the first month of the season.
Oh, yeah, that quality of football is going to be raggedy the first month of the season.
And that's what happened. In fact, scoring's down all around the NFL because of primarily that reason. The defense was all out there. Offenses, you didn't see none of those guys except for Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, who insisted that they personally want to be out there in the preseason. Now, I'm not saying Dak should have been out there, but that's one of the reasons why he looked so raggedy, as well as the Tampa defense, as well as Kellen Moore's play caller, which has improved significantly with the help of Mike McCarthy. I'm giving Mike McCarthy his props because, to me, Mike McCarthy, he opened up some eyes, and my eyes in particular, like, okay, I had him on the hot seat. And guess how he handled the adversity of losing your quarterback and wound up winning, 4 straight games and then losing that last one. So they're 4-2 right now. Mm-hmm. One other note about Dak Prescott, I got to bring this up because we're talking about how he's going to look and whatnot. Give props to Kevin Hagelin of the KNC Masterpiece. He did some research. He brought this up a couple of days ago. He said he expects, and it made a lot of sense. He said he expects, with the strong running game that the Dallas Cowboys had, now it's not going to be run first, but he said the year that DeMarco Murray had 1,800 yards, which is still a Cowboys record, that's 2014, mm-hmm. They brought in DeMarco Murray and were running first because Tony Romo needed help.
Yeah. And
they also had a raggedy defense. And they want to keep that raggedy defense off the field. If you run the ball well, Tony Romo wound up in the MVP conversation, top 5 MVP candidate for the first and only time in his career, because you had a significant run game that allowed Tony Romo to pick his spots. He said, watch Dak Prescott. If the run game is on point, not run first, but at least on point, pick his spots. He doesn't have to carry the damn team. And that's the biggest difference. And so it's not going to be Kellen. It's not going to be Cooper Rush offense, mm-hmm. but it's not going to be what you saw most of the season last year, the second half, where Dak truly had to carry it with a raggedy offense and one-legged Zeke.